Hi guys, Mama Mita here, and today I have a nice little dish for you guys that you can be using in the summer when you have all your squash coming in, your tomatoes, and your parsley and stuff. And the nice little thing about this dish is that you can actually alternate it your way. You can change it, do different things with it. You can use deer meat, you could use sausage, hamburger meat, or lamb. Or you could go vegan, and that's what we're doing today. We are going to be making stuffed squash the vegan way. Now, why do I like it the vegan way? Well, because I'm not much of a meat eater, and I like to use this stuffed squash the vegan way when we're doing the Lent, or we have our special type of dinners that we have, our food that we have to eat when we have our church, going on with our Lent and special holidays and stuff. So this is why I like this dish, but my grandkids love this dish. And all the kids in the family love this dish, and it's always, Mom, please make the stuffed squash, Okay, so let me show you how to. So now I am using today the Mexican squash, but now you could use zucchini, you can use the yellow crookneck squash. You would just, with the crookneck squash, you know how you have the yellow part down here and it comes up with a little skinny stem, you would cut that off. So now on the Mexican squash, we're pretty much going to treat it kind of like the zucchini squash. So you want to wash your squash very well to make sure that all the sand or whatever, that's out in the garden and stuff is off of that, and then you're going to take, you see that little thing there? You're just going to kind of just snip that off so it won't be so brownish looking, so like that. And then you're going to take this here. Now, in your case, since you're not yet a professional, but after this, you will be. Okay, so instead of making it where you want it to be like right up here at the top, so we're not going to waste any squash, you're going to drop it down a little ways because you're going to be using an apple core to scoop out, to hollow out this squash. So we're going to do that. Now, you see how I did that? Okay, so now this part here, I'm not going to throw it away. Me, I'm too cheap to throw that away. Okay, so I'm going to take the bottom of that little thing off, and I'm still going to use this here. I'm going to just cut it, and I'll just use it to kind of stick in the end of the squash, so it's kind of like a cork in a wine bottle. Okay, so now, and this is what I'm using to scoop it out with. It's just something simple. I got these at Winco. I got like 3 of them because I'm always constantly losing with the grandkids playing around with them and stuff. Okay, so now you see, now what I do is I take the apple core and I just simply make I go inside about a 1/2 of an inch. Let me, just a second. Let me see if I can adjust this camera down here a little way so you can get a better look at that. Okay, so now when you do this, you're going to go like, and you want to be very careful with it because it, you can rip the side of it and you don't want to do that. So you see how I did that? You're going to do the same thing now the second time. This is for you American girls that need to learn how to do this, or children. This is an easy thing for children to learn too. So then you're going to go a little deeper around the squash now. The same circle, just a little deeper. Okay. So now at that point, you're going to stick the apple core all the way down very carefully. And you're just going to kind of like rock back and forth like that. But you're going to hold it in your hand carefully. You want to make sure you don't hit the sides, because if you hit the sides and you put too much pressure, you'll pop the sides open. And you don't want to do that, because then you will have to either repair the squash by making it where you can still use it, or you will have to put it for the bottom of the pot. Okay, so then you're going to do that all the way around till you see how that comes out like that. So easy. You want to keep that because you can use that. I'll show you what we're going to do with that in a few minutes. All right, so then you're going to do that. You keep doing that all the way around. And you feel it, like you can feel it on the side of your squash of how you're getting close to the edge, like you're getting skinny now. You're not as thick as before on the inside wall. So you want to, and then you want to be careful not to go too deep and puncture the bottom and put a hole in it. You don't want to do that. So you're just hollowing out the squash, and you can do that with the zucchini, the crooked neck squash. There's no problem with it whatsoever. Okay, you see how that is? That's great. Now, and it's very easy, and once you become a professional, which you will be able to do these things pretty fast. Okay, so now I've got that one, okay? Now, here's another one. Now, this one, you see how tiny it is here? Okay, that's just too tiny for you to really get in there as a beginner. So we're going to just snip that off and make it a little bigger at the end. And then I already got the bottom there. So the same thing, you're going to start. You do the little small going around like a circle, just like that before. And now you're going to go back around, and you're going to go a little deeper. Same thing, just don't touch the side of the wall or go through the squash. I find that the apple core is the easiest for children to do this. And this is a good thing. This is a good family thing to do at night, you know, when you guys want to have something to do with your kids and stuff. Let them do something like this. This is good. Hey, why not? Okay, so you see, I got that really fast, and you will be fast too at these things. Just don't go too fast and puncture it. Okay, now at that point, it's hollowed out. That's it. Now you're ready to stuff it. So to stuff it, what I use with the stuffing is I use rice, tomatoes, onions, and parsley. And that's all. Rice, tomatoes, onions, and parsley. A little bit of mint. Now, if you've got mint in your garden, you can use fresh mint. Just chop it up really fine. And you would put like some cinnamon and some allspice and some salt and pepper. And if you want to put a little bit of garlic, you could. Now, if you're using meat, you got a choice that you can pre-cook the meat where it's like hamburger style, and then you could add a little meat to that. You don't have to. I usually don't use meat. It's very rare that I would use meat in this, okay? So, and I will leave how much I put in for the ingredients and stuff on the YouTube thing for you guys. And so that's what you put in there, okay? Then at that point, you would take and you would stuff the squash. Now, you only want to stuff these squash halfway. You do not want to go all the way to the end. Don't do that, because because the rice is going to expand, and it needs to be kind of loosely packed. Also, don't do it tight. Now, I put a little bit too much. That's enough right there. So you remember those little things I was telling you about? Then I just kind of put like a little thing in there loose and leave it like that. And then I'm going to go to the next one. Now, if I have any stuffing left over, I don't save it. Oh no, I go ahead and I just cook it up with the squash, because what I'm doing here now is I am making the squash, the stuffed squash, but this is going to be a kind of a two type meal, because once you finish with the squash, you have all that liquid because it's in a tomato bath. So you're going to have all that tomato bath in the pot and stuff with, you know, a little bit of squash and stuff that might have, you know, in the bottom. I usually put these things that came out of the squash. So let me just clean my hands really quick, and then we'll move on to our next step. Okay, so now our next step is this big pot. That's a big pot. So I put all my squash fillings in here. And what I do, that I like to do, this is my version, okay, is I'm getting this 2 meals out of this, because I'm going to use the first meal, I'm going to use the stuffed squash. The second meal, once I pull all the squash out and I've got the liquid left over, now I have like a squash soup. Now I can either use that the next night, or I can freeze that and put it away and bring it out another day and put garlic toast with it and serve it with a small salad. Okay, so now see this last little bit here left over? Okay, I'm going to take that and I'm just going to put that around in the bottom. Because, I mean, I'm not throwing that away. All right, so we're done with that. So now at this point, Let's put this other little piece in here. And if you didn't have the little green stems, you could use these things. So you could just cut it in half. Let me show you one of those. Cut that in half and then just stick it in like that. Cork it like that, okay? So now I'm going to put these in here, all into the pot. I like to use my drainer thing for the dishes and stuff to hold the squash up because it kind of saves space. For me, it's easier. Okay, so now you see how those are in there? Okay, so now I'm going to put the rest of them in there. Okay, so now they're, well, one more. Okay, so now they're all in there. So do you see all those in there? Okay, now at this point, I'm going to take my last little bit of the squash stuffing and I'm just going to throw it in the pot. Okay, now at that point, they're all in there. All right, now I take this plate that's a heavier plate. You know, it's one of those like ceramic type plates. You could use something from the 70s if you get it from the Goodwill or Value Village or whatever. Or you could just get one of those plates from the dollar store. And I like to take that and put that upside down. But first, before I do that, I'm going to put it in a tomato bath. So I'm going to pour this tomato bath all around the squash. And you want to make sure that your squash is covered, okay? Make sure the squash is covered. In this case, my squash needs a little bit more, but I'm going to show, I'll add a little bit more. Let me make sure that you can see that, how that's looking down there in that pot. Hopefully the camera, hopefully I don't drop the camera in this pot. I'm telling you, this is something else. Okay, there you go. So now you can see that. So I'm going to add a little bit more liquid to that. But before I add that liquid, I just want to show you how I'm doing this so I can get this pot on the cooking. So then at that point, I would add it to cover, just barely cover the squash. Then I'm going to take that plate and I'm going to flip it down. Okay? At that point, once I flip it down, I'm going to leave it there while I'm cooking it. I'm going to put the lid on it. I'll add a little bit more salt around with the liquid and make sure that it got, you know, that the squash is covered. Then I'll put the lid on it and then I will cook it for 45 to 50 minutes on a medium fire. Okay? And then at that point, once the rice is done, then at that point, I can either choose to just add a little bit of garlic with lemon, just a little bit of lemon, or I can just leave it alone and go like that. And I usually just leave it alone and go like that, you know. So there you go. So I will see you back here. Okay, I'm back, and I got my hat on now. I just noticed, oh my goodness, I wanted you to see the pot, but I forgot that I didn't get my head on the video. I can't believe I did that. Anyway, sorry about that. Okay, so let me give you a look at this pot now so you can see how that looks now. So you see how the plate is like there? Okay, so it's done now. They're done. Yay. So while that was cooking, I went ahead and I made a little small salad to go along with this. And so I had a few chopped tomatoes already up and some onions. And then I added some cucumbers to it. So I got this salad here going. There you go. So there's the salad, and that what it is cucumbers and tomatoes with onions, and then I added lemon and olive oil and some salt and pepper, and then I added some garlic with some mint. Oh, it's so good. It's just delicious. I was able to get this nice bottle of olive oil. Whoa, boy, this is like gold. This is from the Middle East. My sister-in-law gave it to me, so I feel really special boy, getting this thing. Wow, you could smell the olives from that thing. Okay, so now let's try and get the squash out and see how they turned out. Oh boy, this is gonna be a challenge. Considering that, hopefully I don't drop the camera. Okay, let's get one out, and so you can see how they go. Now, the hardest thing to get out, I believe, is the plate, because you don't want to get burned. So you got to be very careful with that plate, all right? Because it's very hot. So I'm going to use like a little towel to pull that out. There you go. And then put that in the sink. That's done. Now, let me get one of these, and so you can see how this looks. So there's how they come out. Just like that. Now, this makes a really nice dish, really. And it sure is a nice way to use up your squash and the stuff from your garden, like your tomatoes and parsley and the squash and onions and stuff. It's a great garden, fresh out of the garden meal. So you guys, if you like this today, please give me a thumbs up. I remember to keep my head to the camera. Please give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Thank you guys. Bye now. Sure does smell good. Okay, so before I let you go, I want to show you the final product. Okay, look at this now. Woo! Now, you guys, now look at this here. Let me move this around a little bit so you can see how that is. See how that is there? That's like a squash soup with tomatoes and garlic. Oh my goodness, it tastes so good. And then with the garlic toast, oh my goodness, yes, yes, yes. So now you are a professional squash stuffer. It's time to show your stuff at your church picnics and stuff, and your friends get together. Let them see what you've learned and how you are using your garden. All right, guys, see you later. Bye now.